When you want to put your money to work, you will need to have some spare money left each month. If you use all of them, then you won't have any money left to work for you. The reason we say this is because 61% of working Americans in all income brackets and age groups are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have any money left each month and are anxious about covering unexpected emergency expenses. To get rid of this, people will need to change their habits and structure a plan for how to get out of this cycle. We will therefore today show the steps it takes to start making your money work for you. We hope that after having seen this video, you are ready to gain control over your financial well-being so you can start to live more. My name is Daniel and I'm here to help people with personal finance and show how to start a digital side hustle of your own. If you're interested in improving your personal finance or start a digital side hustle of your own, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you found this video helpful. Create a budget. It all comes down to that we need to create a budget for our finances, and it can be done in multiple ways, and there are multiple strategies for the correct way to budget. Today we will just go through the general principles to budgeting, as we believe that if you follow the general rules, then you can adjust them better to how you want to live. Lay out your finances. Before being able to budget, we will need to make an overview of where our finances currently are going. We will need to track how much we spend on each thing, so we can see where we are able to trim some of it, as we might have high expenses on something without really knowing it. The good thing about the world getting more and more digitized is that it is very easy to get an overview of our expenses. We will just have to go to our online bank and save a print of our last year's transactions. That way we can see all our expenses and incomes over the last year. The reason that we take an entire year and not only a month is because we might have some expenses which we only pay one time each year, and we want to take them into consideration as well. Here we will start to go through 1 month at a time while categorizing and writing down our expenses and incomes to get an overview of where our money is going. As we go through it, we will probably be surprised a couple of times on how much we actually spend on different things, and we might start to believe that there will be room for trimming in some areas. As we have gotten an overview of all our expenses and incomes, it is time for the next step in creating a budget. Pay yourself first. Many people will say that they don't have any money left for investing each month, and that is probably right, as we tend to use what we have. But if we have less money each month, we will also discover that we can still manage to live a nice life without having to be frugal. So to be able to know that we have enough money left for investing each month, we will start to pay ourselves first. The way this is done is by every time you receive a paycheck, then you will put some of it aside for investing, and then afterwards you can use the rest for spending. By putting the money aside for yourself first, you will start to feel the rewards it gives you, as you can see the amount of money grow. A good rule of thumb can be to start putting 10% of your income aside for yourself first, and then as you get better at it, you can start to increase this number. As we are now clear about paying ourselves first, it is time for the next step in creating a budget. Plan your budget. Now it is time to start planning our budget. First we will write down all our incomes on one side and then begin on our expenses on the other. For our expenses we will remember to pay ourselves first, and the next thing is to write down all the necessaries which you can't live without. For example, rent or mortgage, utilities for electricity and heating, water, insurance, interest on debt and groceries. The grocery part might have been high when you didn't track it. So try to think about what you should be able to live for, and then trim it a bit with an estimate of what should be enough for food. After having written down all the necessaries for you to live, then it is time to write down the parts which make you happy and what gives you an extra joy in life. To live on a budget is not the same as living frugally. You just track what you spend your money on. So you should still put in an estimate for how often you would like to go to restaurants, go out and drink with your friends, or buy new computer games. It can be anything, as long as it gives you joy, then it is worth taking into consideration. But remember, if you want to make as much money work for you as possible, then it might be a good idea to see what really gives you joy and what is just there which could be omitted. After this, you're almost done with your budget. You will just have to see if your income aligns with your expenses. If your income is still higher than your expenses, then you might be able to pay yourself a higher amount each month. And if your expenses are higher than your income, then you need to go back and figure out what you can live without and trim your expenses, as you will need to make a budget which pays you first. When you have made a final version of your budget where your income aligns with your expenses, then it is time for the next step in creating a budget. Review and adjust. Here you will have to start living under your budget and try to follow it. Try not to use more than the amount on different areas than what you have allocated for it. After a few months, it is time to go back and print a new sheet of your transactions from your bank. Here you will have to write down all your incomes and expenses again and compare them to what you actually budgeted for. Here you will have to review whether you actually followed the budget and if your estimates are correct. If you have used either more or less in some areas, then it might be time to adjust your budget into what fits you. You might also have experienced during the first couple of months that you have missed something or that there is something which you don't need to use money on anyway. You can choose to add or remove these areas to your budget if you want. It all comes down to that you know what you're spending your money on and that you know that you have money left each month for yourself to set yourself up for financial success in the long run. It might take a bit of time to get used to and keep going through it, but as you get more used to it, it will start to take less and less time and you will thank yourself for it later. That is how to create a budget where you pay yourself first. But what do you actually then do with the money you have put aside for yourself? That is what the rest of the video is for. Get rid of your debt. The first thing you do with the money you pay yourself first is to get rid of your debt by paying it off. By paying off your debt, you will start to see that you have to pay less in interest each month, and this will free up more of your money to use towards making your money work for you. As you get rid of more and more of your debt, you will start to feel the pressure lifting off your shoulders and you will have a more enjoyable life with less concerns. When you get rid of all of your debt, you will feel more free as you are no longer locked into a vicious debt cycle and have the freedom to choose what you want to spend your money on as long as you don't acquire new debt. There are multiple strategies to get rid of debt and here we will go through 3 of them so you can see which of them fits you the best. The next step in making your money work for you is to pick a debt strategy to get rid of your debt. Snowflake. The Snowflake debt strategy is to encourage people to get rid of the debt as fast as possible. Anytime you have some extra money, then you should put it toward paying your debt back. As you have already budgeted for the interest of your debt in your budget, then all extra you put towards your debt will help to bring it down and lower the amount, where you will end up having paid it all back. For people to have extra money each month, many of them will also start a side hustle or selling some of the items they don't want anymore. As long as it can help bring their debt down, they will try to do it. Snowball. The Snowball strategy is to pay off your debts from the smallest to the largest. When you think about how much you own in total to an individual. As you pay off some of the smallest first, it might motivate you to see that you over time will have less people or companies you owe money to. And in the end you will only owe money to those you owe the biggest amount to. A reason this might motivate you is that it is easy to see the progression in the beginning and you can feel it helps. A downside of a snowball strategy might be that it ignores interest rates, which might give a chance for other debts to grow if you don't pay the interest, and it might make you pay overall more as you don't target the high interest first. Avalanche. The Avalanche strategy is to pay off your debts with the highest interest rates first. This is for example unsecured debts like credit cards and personal loans, as they often come with bad interest terms. When you focus on the debts with the highest interest rates first, it will help you to escape the debt cycle quickly and hopefully spend less in interest overall. As you pay the debt back with the highest interest first, you will quickly start to see that you will have more money left each month, which you can use to pay off your debt quicker. Pick a debt repayment strategy. These are the 3 strategies for paying off debt, which we will share with you, and it is up to you to pick which one of the strategies that you like the most and which motivates you the most, as it is important to keep the motivation while getting rid of the debt. If you keep your motivation high, it will help you a lot on your journey, as you will start to slowly escalate how quickly you are paying back your debt, as you can see that it helps in your daily life. When you have picked your strategy, it is important to stick to it and make it work, and as you start paying back your debt, it is time for the next step to make your money work for you. Celebrate your milestones. As you pay off your debt, it is important that you remember to celebrate your milestones. It shouldn't be anything big and expensive. It is just to remember that you should find it fun to do and remember to reward yourself for doing it. The reward should be big enough so you can stay motivated and don't lose focus of the goal. And as you pay it off, you will have more and more room for bigger rewards, as you will have more and more money left each month, which you previously have used on paying back interest on your debt. When you have gotten rid of all of your debt, it is time to go to the next step and start to prepare for the future. Build an emergency fund. As you finally have gotten out of a debt cycle, it is important to not fall back into it. To make sure you don't do this, you create an emergency fund in case anything unexpected is happening in your life, which could leave expenses. It could be that your car breaks down and needs maintenance, that you need to go to the hospital and get a medical bill, or that your pet gets sick and needs to go to a vet. Many things can go wrong which we aren't necessarily in control of, and we shouldn't fear them happening, as we will not be able to do so. What can we do instead to prepare ourselves to not fall back into the debt cycle in case anything unexpected might happen? So for example, that we don't have to go back and get a high interest credit card debt. The way we can make our own insurance for this is to create an emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of expenses. Then in case anything happens, then we have put the money aside for us to use on it. We have calculated that sometimes life just happens and we just have to follow along, but instead of reaching for debt, we will reach for our emergency fund and take the amount from there. We shouldn't use our emergency fund for having fun, that is what our budget is for, but we should only use it in case of an actual emergency. When we at some point need to use it, we will fill it up again afterwards to the desired level before going for the next step, where the next step in making our money work for us is to actually let them multiply into more money. Start investing. It is time to actually let your money multiply and make you more money. As you don't have any debt anymore, it is easier to start investing. The money you put into investing shouldn't be any that you need to use within the next 3 to 5 years, and it shouldn't be any which you are afraid of losing. As the market always fluctuates up and down, then you can never predict when it is a good time to withdraw your money from a market, and because of this, it might be a good idea to stay in it, as it historically has shown to always go up in the long run. So when you have gotten rid of all your debt, it is easier to take these risks and stay invested for the long run. But to invest, you will have to learn what assets are to invest in the right sort of things, and not go out and throw your money away on something wrong. The next step for investing will therefore be to learn what assets are to buy them. Assets. In general, you should pay for something that grows in value and that rich people would call an asset. For it to be an asset, the rich people will say they will need to put money in your pocket. This can be many things, and in short they are all called appreciating assets, as they grow in value over time. We will here go through a couple of appreciating assets so you can get the feel of it. Stocks. If you would like to own a share of a company, then you might be interested in stocks. Stocks can grow in value in two ways. It can be through dividends which the companies pay out to their shareholders as they have more money than what they can use for growth. Or it can be through capital gains, where the price of a stock goes up as more people are interested in it. In general, stocks are if you would like to pick for yourself which companies you would like to invest in. Real estate. If you would like to own an apartment or house and rent it out to somebody else, then you might be interested in real estate. For a lot of people, real estate is easier to understand, as it actually is something you can see and feel, and it is easy to understand the purpose of real estate, as we all need somewhere to live. Real estate can grow in values in two ways. It can grow in value by giving you a positive cash flow each month, by your rental income being higher than your expenses for the property. Or it can grow in value by the housing market increasing in value. So if you decide on selling it or taking a new loan in it, then it will be possible to gain additional value. Index funds. If you would like to invest in stocks but don't want to pick the companies yourself, or don't believe that we can predict which companies will grow the most over the next 10 to 20 years, then it might be a good idea for you to invest in index funds and just follow the general market. This way you will still invest in stocks, but you don't have to do the hard work yourself of deciding which stocks are best to invest in. Stay diversified. In general, it is a good idea to stay diversified as you are new to investing and don't want to put all your eggs into the same basket until you have learned it. This is done by not putting all of your money into the same project. You shouldn't only pick a single stock and invest all of your money into that, because if it goes bankrupt, you might lose all of your money. By staying diversified, it will work as an insurance against losing it all to a single project. But as you are new to investing, it might also be a good idea to not spread out too much in the beginning, but start to learn one at a time and build on top of that. In the beginning, it will also be tough to stay diversified, as you won't have the capacity to split up your money like that. But try to remember it to not put all of your eggs into the same basket in the beginning. Now it is time to go to the next step and actually pick which one of the assets you like the most. Pick an asset. These were some of the more common appreciating assets which most use, but there are multiple others out there. For it to be an appreciating asset, all it comes down to is that it grows in value over time. So if none of these fits you, then you might look around for a different one. But we will suggest that you start by picking one of these. In general, you should start by picking an asset that you like, as you will need to learn a lot about them to make sure you do it right and that you learn to use them to your advantage, as they all have different advantages. When you have chosen which asset you like, it is time to learn about it, and when you feel comfortable with it, then it is time to start investing in it. As you start investing in it, you will start to see your money fluctuates, and you will start to see that your money in general will grow in value and generate you even more money. As you first have gotten the feeling of making your money work for you, it is hard to stop again, and you will feel with joy and motivation to invest even more of your income each month to see it grow even faster and further. As your money keeps growing, it is time to go to the next and final step. What is your plan? What was the reason that you started to want to make your money work for you? Was it so you can retire early and don't have to work yourself? Was it so you can live a more luxurious life, or was it something completely different? We all have different dreams in our life, and some of them might be easier to achieve than others, but it is a good idea to ask yourself what your plan for the money is, as you at some point will have to start using them again, as we don't take any of them with us in the grave. So when you have reached a point where you have gotten enough money to fulfill your dreams and when you can start living them, is there then a reason to wait on living them? We definitely hope that with this video you can get out of living paycheck to paycheck and start your journey to reach for your dreams.